We are telling people there are things that you need to do right now. You need to keep your groups as small as possible, and it needs to be the same group of people. So not one family here tonight and another tomorrow and lunch with friends the next day. We need to keep our groups small. We know how to do that. We know how to connect with others in different ways. So pick your group, make it as small as possible, and stick with them this holiday season. Find other ways to safely connect with other people in your life, virtually or outside or at a distance. Second, understand your own risk and the people you live with, people in your family. If somebody has a serious illness that puts them at risk, then cut back on your social activities even more. We have to protect ourselves with these risks. Third, if you are attending the event, know how many people will be there and stick with your own small group. Keep those groups small. Most of these events should not be happening, but if you need to get together, keep it as small as absolutely possible. Understand the setting you're going to. Is it a large venue with lots of space so that you can more safely gather? Is there ventilation? Is there things you can do to improve the ventilation? And can you meet outdoors instead of indoors? Ensure you have all of the layers of protection in place. Given that people the space to stay safe, wearing your masks when you're in indoor settings, especially giving that respectful distance to people. Stay behind barriers, wash your hands, increase ventilation. These are all things that we can do right now. We know that this is a disappointing and discouraging thing to hear at this point in time. People in BC have stepped up. We've done the right thing over and over. We've gotten vaccinated in record numbers. We've supported each other to get booster doses, to have small gatherings, to do the right thing. But the challenge that we have is this virus doesn't recognize that. What it does, it has changed, and so must we. But I know that we can continue to support each other to do this together. So our new public health orders will include a ban on indoor organized gatherings of any size. So that is weddings, wedding receptions, celebratory events, parties, Christmas parties, New Year's parties, whether they're at banquet halls, at event spaces, whether they're an event in a restaurant or in a private setting. We need to stop those for this period of time. We will be closing bars and nightclubs for this short period of time. We know that those are settings where people socialize, where right now those are risky settings, especially for the demographic that we're talking about, where we're seeing widespread transmission. So this does not include pubs and cafes and restaurants. This is the specific liquor licenses, and it'll be detailed in the order, but it is specific to bars and nightclubs. Gyms, fitness centers, and dance studios will also be closed for this period of time. We know as well that these, unfortunately, have been places where transmission events have happened and have spread out to people in the community. So we need to go to the very important remote support for people, and some of these, I know my gym does that, the yoga studios, etc., for this period of time. Restaurants will continue to be able to operate with the meal service that we know is important. We know that these seated events or seated settings are much less risk, but we're going to go back to what worked for us during the last waves of this pandemic, and so that is smaller groups. Maximum of 6 people per table, wearing masks. We already put in last week the importance of not having congregation and people coming together, having additional space or barriers within restaurants, and not moving between tables. And finally, we'll also be adding, we had last week put in capacity limits for the larger venues, sports events and theaters and concerts. Now seated events will be reduced to 50% capacity regardless of the venue size. So that includes movie theaters, arenas, etc. And again, the really important measures that we know help, which is using the BC vaccine card, checking the QR code, enforcing of mask wearing, and that additional extra space to give room for people and to ensure that there's enough ventilation support around people. So these will come into effect on December 22nd at midnight and will be in effect until January 18th. And that is very specific. There are a number of things that are happening over this period of time, including we need to support the return safe to schools, the K-12 schools, on January 4th, and we're working very closely with our ministry and stakeholder table to support that. And on January 10th is the return to on-campus learning at post-secondary institutions. In addition, this gives us a period of time for us to continue to monitor, to fill in those pieces of the puzzle and to better understand the impact that Omicron is going to have on our context in BC, on our healthcare system, and making sure that those resources are there for all of us. So this is a summary and overview of the public health orders that have been in place and will continue until at least the middle of January.